In the carriage, Fate notices Mina indulging in her meal and comments on her seemingly insatiable appetite. He wonders if her skill is wrath or gluttony. He reminds her that they just purchased all the necessary supplies and inquires about the amount of food she requires. Mina, munching away, replies that the fiery emotion of rage burns a significant number of calories. Noticing her petite figure, Fate mocks her capacity for food, wondering where it all goes. Slightly irritated by his remark, Mina channels her frustration into an outburst of rage, causing her to break the carriage's wheel. Fate, unfazed, approaches the driver and asks if the wheel can be repaired. The driver, fixing the wheel, assures him that it's manageable but will cost extra. Disappointed, Fate scans his surroundings to search for Mina, who is heading towards a village. This disappoints him even more and he follows her. As they explore the peaceful village, Fate comments on the likelihood of a powerful guardian protecting it from monsters. Upon noticing a castle, Fate inquires Greed about it. Greed informs him that it's Hazen Castle, which shocks Fate since he believed castles were only enciphered. Eventually, Fate encounters a knight cleaning his sword and inquires about the village mayor, expressing the need for a place to stay. The knight introduces himself as the village chief while sheathing his sword. Greed identifies the sword as a holy sword. Fate questions if the chief is a holy knight, but instead of answering him, the chief steps aside and challenges Fate to a friendly duel. Using his Identify skill, the chief comments on Fate's impressive stats despite being level 1. Fate questions him regarding this scanning skill, but the chief ignores him once again and unsheathes his sword. Fate accepts his challenge and brings out Greed. Despite his overwhelming abilities, Fate loses to the village chief. Accepting the loss, Fate assumes he will not be allowed to stay. However, the chief offers a condition for their stay: Fate must undergo training under him. Both Fate and Greed wonder about the chief's motives. Nonetheless, the chief explains that Fate's stats and skills are unusual, effective against monsters but lacking against humans. Greed remains skeptical, but Fate, intrigued by the rare opportunity to be trained by a holy knight, agrees. He introduces himself as Fate Graphite and the chief responds by revealing his name, which is Aaron Barbatos. Observing Mina approaching, Aaron asks if she is Fate's companion, and upon confirmation, he praises her as a seasoned warrior. Disregarding their conversation, Mina informs Fate of a camping spot, but he reveals that he has secured a place for them to stay. The following morning, Fate commences his hand-to-hand combat training under Aaron. He emphasizes its effectiveness in mastering stat control and begins by refining Fate's stance and posture, aiming to optimize the utilization of his stats. Mina also joins them, observing the training with keen interest. Amidst the intense session, Fate's gluttony activates, turning his eye red. Concerned, Aaron inquires about his well-being, but Fate brushes off the question and persists his training. Greed remarks on Fate's enhanced speed, even in a near-starved state. As the day's training concludes in the evening, Aaron informs Fate that the next phase will involve actual combat training. Suddenly, Fate catches a whiff of a monster's scent, suspecting its origin from a nearby castle. Suppressing his suspicion, he follows Aaron into his house only to discover a sleeping Mina amidst scattered, half-eaten food. Apologizing for the mess, Fate receives a calm shrug from Aaron, who departs, mentioning his intention to seek food from the villagers. Annoyed with Mina, Fate takes the opportunity to playfully draw on her face, prompting Greed to caution against recklessness. After this brief episode, Fate stumbles upon some family pictures of Aaron, leading Greed to speculate on the reason someone of his strength resides in such an isolated location. The next morning, Fate engages in a training session with Aaron. He deflects the knight's sword strikes with a simple stick, marking the completion of his training under the village chief. As night falls and they gather for dinner, Fate reveals his intention to depart the next day. Mina also reveals that she has lost her sense of taste and discloses about her having a mission, with Greed noting that it's the consequence of her use of wrath. During the conversation, Aaron gazes out of the window at the distant castle, which makes Fate even more curious, and he questions Aaron regarding it. Aaron discloses that Hazen Castle used to be his, dropping a bombshell that he left 15 years ago on royal orders, only to return and find his family and people massacred by a crowned beast. The castle is now under the control of the Genesis of Death, a Lich Lord. Shocked by this revelation, Fate feels a throbbing sensation in his red eye and excuses himself from the house. Aaron also follows him, revealing his determination to confront the haunting past by reclaiming the castle. Fate agrees to accompany Eren on this quest for vengeance, while Mina opts to stay behind and safeguard the village. As they approach the castle, they encounter an army of skeletons, swiftly defeating them without much effort. Upon entering the castle, they come across Eren's son playing piano and his family members welcoming him. Puzzled, Fate questions Greed about this, who explains that it's an illusion. In a shocking turn of events, Eren's illusory son attempts to attack him. Aware of the illusion, Eren skillfully defends himself. Fate requests Greed to summon the scythe, but Greed points out that the souls devoured by gluttony can never find release. They are trapped in an eternal cycle. Fate is brought back to reality by Eren, who declares his intent to confront his illusory family. Respecting the old man's unwavering determination, Fate decides to pursue the Lich Lord instead. In a chamber thick with the monster's scent, Fate shoots an arrow at the wall, revealing the presence of the Lich Lord. Engaging in fierce combat, Fate finds himself in a struggle until Eren arrives to lend his help. Witnessing his illusory wife's plea, Eren recalls the day he left for his mission. Determined to end his family's suffering, Eren unleashes the Grand Cross, a radiant holy light coming from his sword. Despite his efforts, the Lich Lord survives. With no other option left, Fate seizes Eren's son's sword and stands alongside the aging Holy Knight to put an end to the tragedy. Uniting their Grand Cross attacks, the duo successfully defeats the Lich Lord. Amidst the ruins, Eren sees the souls of his family, providing an opportunity for heartfelt apologies. As the old knight shares a final hug with his wife and son, Fate stops a retaliatory attack from the Lich Lord with a well-aimed arrow. Exiting the chamber, they encounter another army of skeletons, effortlessly dispatching them. Upon their return, Eren compensates Mina for her patience and care of the village. Seeing this, Fate comments on Mina being a greedy person, to which she responds that she needs money for rebuilding her village, emphasizing the importance of money. Mina adds that this truth becomes apparent with age. Eren interferes with their conversation and claims to have seen her 50 years ago during a monster rampage, astonished that she hasn't aged a bit and praising her as the same perfect warrior. Mina responds by stating that if Eren dedicates himself to another 1,000 years of training, he might eventually catch up to her. Eren, somewhat taken aback, comments on the harshness, while Mina insists that it's a simple truth about the limitations of humans. This makes Eren question her ethnicity, to which she replies by stating that she is a phantom who is forbidden to die. Following all this, Fate, upon hearing Eren mention that his eye has returned to normal, starts explaining a condition that compels him to regularly hunt monsters, and failing to do so results in his eyes turning red. But before Fate can finish, Eren interrupts, stating that a great burden is inflicted upon his soul. Eren then instructs Fate to return when he has achieved his goal, emphasizing that there is something crucial he wishes to share with him. Somewhere else, two siblings are examining the Philosopher's Stone, contemplating that immortality might not be beyond reach. The conversation between the girl, Mimile, and the boy named Raphael gets interrupted by a butler. Raphael inquires about Hato, and the butler delivers the sad news of Hato's demise. The butler elaborates, revealing that Witness's claimed corpse is not a monster but a warrior. Raphael grits his teeth in frustration, wondering who this corpse is. We still haven't heard anything about Roxy and her crew. I wonder what's taking them so long. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe, so you don't miss out on Fate's future endeavors.